Necromancy is almost here, so are you prepped for it? Well, if you probably clicked on this video, the answer is probably nope or hell nah. So let's get prepped. The first thing we need to know is, what is Necromancy? Necromancy is RuneScape's newest skill and the first combat style added to the game since the game's release. It'll sit outside of the traditional combat style, meaning it'll have no weaknesses or no strengths against the other styles. So now, I guess we have a combat rhombus. The skill will have ways to train via combat and the much more relaxed rituals. And it has a set release date of August 7th, or about 38 days from when this video goes live. The next thing we need to know is, what do we need to train the skill? Jagex was kind enough to give us this list of items of everything that we will need in order to train Necromancy. But what I'm going to do is go through this list of items and explain where I think these items will be used for. So let's get into it. The first item on the list is bones. Bones, 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 and of course, more bones. Luckily, it looks like, according to the videos that we've seen so far, that the bones are not going to be used in mass quantity, roughly about 2 per minute. So we don't need too many of them, but if you do need to go and get bones, my recommendation would be pulling the Death Note relic and an advanced bone crusher and just killing whatever you would like in order to collect those bones. Or you can just simply go onto the GE and buy them from there. Let's say it one more time just for fun. Bones. The next thing on the list that we're going to be using is pure essence. Now, pure essences will be used to craft the runes that we'll need to be using our conjures in combat. Obviously, we can gather pure essence by using our porter buff, either that we got from the Golden Cape event, or just getting porters and mining them at the pure essence mine. We can also get these by killing different abyssal creatures, but most of us should have a pretty decent stack of essences that we can use to craft. The new runes will also be tradable. Personally, I also collected an additional 100 thread just in case we will be able to make a rune pouch, but as of right now, it is known that we will not be able to use a rune pouch for these new runes. The next thing we need to talk about is the gear. Now, the cool part about the gear in Necromancy is that it's going to upgrade on top of itself. It looks like we'll be able to use our smithing skill along with some bars to upgrade our weapons, and we'll be able to use the crafting skill along with different various magic armors and possibly even player-owned farmed wool in order to craft the different armors. Looking at the armors we'll need a spider silk set, a blue mystic set, and a subjugation set. Personally, I'm grabbing 3 sets of each of these armors because Necromancy does seem like it's going to be very learner friendly. Eventually, these armors are going to branch off of themselves into making the tank armor and the power armor. So I'm going to make a set for Slayer, a power set for bossing, and a tank set for bossing. As such, I'm collecting 3 of each of these sets. The other part of gear I wanted to mention is grabbing some hybrid gear like High Armor of Hanto and Sliske Armor. The reason I'm saying that is because we'll be able to perk that out prior to our Necromancy gear being able to be at the level to be perked, and we'll be able to get the benefits of different damaging perks a little earlier, which will help you get XP much faster. And finally, we have the Spectral Spirit Shield and the Draconic Visage. I think these items are going to be used in the same way they're used in the main game right now to make either a Spirit Shield of a Necromancy variant or a Dragonfire Shield of a Necromancy variant. And now we have the last thing on the list that I want to talk about, overloads. Now, overloads will need a new potion in the recipe, a Necromancy potion. However, I'm planning on stopping at making my base overloads. The reason for that is the 120 Herb Cape perk will be more effective once Necromancy is released when it comes to making Supremes, because instead of using 4 ingredients to make 5 potions, we'll end up using 3 ingredients to make 4 potions, meaning we get a larger return on the perk. And finally, we get to now talk about what I want to talk about, which is what else you can do to help yourself prepare for Necromancy. The very first thing is the most important thing and the simplest thing, and that is subscribing to the channel. Wait, what? There's a whole lot that goes into making a video like this, so it'd be greatly appreciated if you could hit that like button and hit that subscribe button. It'll help the channel grow, help the video get out to more people, and it would be greatly appreciated. Let's get back into the video. So we went through the gear and items that Jagex has recommended. I have a few more that I'd like to add on to that. Now, I already talked about the rune pouch and hybrid armor, but there's still a few more. Cinderbrain gloves are the next item I want to talk about, specifically because it does look like with the conjures, we're going to be having lots of multi-hit abilities, meaning plenty of opportunities for poison to proc. In the same vein, I'm thinking that the Scripture of Full will probably be the best pocket slot item when it comes to combat. but we don't know about that just yet. We also know a Zuck cape is coming for Necromancy, and given how busted the other Zuck abilities are, I think it's safe to say that the Necromancy one will be pretty good. So make sure you grab yourself an igneous stone. The salve amulet should also be useful, but I'm going to go into that when we get into training the skill itself. The next thing we should be discussing is perks. Your typical PVM perks should work fine for this. However, there's a few other perks that I would like to mention. Up first, we have the invigorating perk. And the reason I say the invigorating perk is going to be awesome for this skill is because the basic ability is an auto attack, which means we're getting additional adrenaline based off of it being a basic, but we're also getting additional adrenaline off it being an auto attack as well. So make sure you grab invigorating for all your gear. Next, we have the Slayer perks, being Undead Slayer, Demon Slayer, and Dragon Slayer, as well as Genocidal. All these perks will increase your DPS against those monsters, meaning we get more XP as we kill those monsters. So be sure to grab a few of those perks as well. And finally, we have the most important Slayer perk, in my opinion, being Scavenging. Now, this isn't really going to help you with Necromancy XP, but it will give you some free components, which is always nice, especially on an Iron Man. Up next, we have ability unlocks. We know that the Appraisal Codex will be used for the tier 99 Necromancy curse, similarly to the Appraisal Codex is being used for the other curses that we have. I'd also recommend getting the Slayer Codices, being the Undead Slayer Codex, the Dragon Slayer Codex, and the Demon Slayer Codex. Again, because with the click of a button, you end up getting more damage against these monsters, and as always, more damage equals more XP. And now, the moment you've all been waiting for. How do you actually train Necromancy? The first part of training the skill will be done through rituals. These rituals seem like they're going to be low intensity and they're what's going to be using up our bone. Luckily, not too much per an hour though. This is also how we're going to be building out our talent tree to get different abilities and different buffs regarding the skill. This will be the slow, more AFK relaxing method. Also, I want to give a shout out to Chivalric for letting me use his footage here. The next part of training is going to be combat. Now, I'm not too familiar with the low-level combat meta, but I do have some ideas of which you can use in order to get XP as fast as possible. First thing you're going to want is a whole lot of your shop teas to make sure you can use your player-owned Slayer dungeon, because their competition is going to be insane. You will not be able to find an open world, in my opinion, for a lot of these monsters. First monster we're going to look at is chickens. Good XP, easy to kill, and super fast. Make sure you get those into your player-owned Slayer dungeon ASAP. Remember I said that we're going to use a salve amulet? This is why. After moving from chickens, I would start focusing on undead creatures, going from banshees to aberrant scepters to spiritual mages and spiritual warriors, perhaps throw some risen ghosts and armored phantoms in there. The reason I say that is because the massive DPS increase you get from the salve amulet, which again, as I've said before, more damage equals more XP. Something to keep in mind though is that one of the playtesters did say that the AoE ability of Necromancy did seem a little bit weak. With keeping that in mind, my strategy for leveling Necromancy is probably going to be doing Slayer and then taking that into some low level bossing. And the reason for that is simply because I'm not really racing. I feel like doing Slayer and then going into low level bossing will help me improve my ability with the Necromancy combat style. While finishing editing this video, I realized I forgot something. Jagex gave us a quest list, so make sure you finish up these quests as well. The quests include the Temple of Sentiston, While Gothic Sleeps, King's Ransom, Ghost Ahoy, Jack of Spades, 2 of the Fremenic Sagas, and the Blood Pact. And that's all the prep ideas that I have. Did I miss anything? Write it down in the comment below and I'll add it to my pinned list of items that I may have missed, obviously giving you credit. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching, and as always, have a wonderful day, and we'll see you soon.